Welcome to Virgin Prunes Talk. In episode 2, Gavin Friday and Dick Evans are in conversation with Eoin Devereux. They discuss the making of the Virgin Prunes album Heresy.
Heresy.
I think Heresy is probably my favourite thing of everything we've done. I think it's probably my favourite.
We recorded Heresy almost within 2 weeks after completing If I Die, I Die. We'd been approached by a French independent label called Invitation to Suicide to do a bespoke limited edition collection of songs or improvisations, all inspired by madness, insanity, and suicide. So we said, right, we'll have this great paradox. Just as we're releasing what is seen as a more commercial album, we will duly release, a couple of weeks later, this limited edition box set of improvisations, all based on madness and insanity. We had no new material, so it would have to be improvised. So once again, we went to Windmill Studios, and back in the day, they used to have these budget sessions where if you recorded at midnight till 8 or 9 the next morning, you could get the cost of the recording half. So on the cheap, when everybody's in bed, we would work. This was recorded 3 days. Over a weekend, we booked a Friday, a Saturday and a Sunday, midnight sessions. But during the day of the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we would write from 12 o'clock in the day till midnight, then go and record and try and stay awake and not sleep. And we basically wouldn't eat much. There was different things to keep us awake, including alcohol. But we actually physically and mentally went into almost a sleepless frenzy as we wrote and recorded the thing. So it had that sort of unique, organic madness about it. So much so, the opening track, Rhetoric it's called, the original version was 15 minutes long. We edited it down to 7 minutes, and it's still sonically one of the most incredible assaults. But imagine a 15-minute version.
Like working in the middle of the night probably added to the disorientation. We had to work really fast, so there was no time to think about it. You get an idea, you just immediately go with it. You know, you're working long enough to actually produce something, but not so long that you kind of lose the energy of it.
At this stage, Irish music was beginning to have a resurgence in folk. Like the Pogues had just started, and everyone going, Irish country music is fantastic, trad. And we were going, no, it's not. It's a load of fucking crap. I've changed my mind about traditional music and Irish Celtic music as I've grown up. But it was like, let's actually take on that mantle. But we were so tired and almost like hysterical. You see this cartoon parody of a so-called sing-alonga pub Irish trad song called Down the Memory Lane. And if you were in the cold daylight, you wouldn't have been able to write and record that without being slightly off the head.
Down to memory lane.
the spontaneity just flew. We became these almost speechless characters. The idea of wordless vocals and sounds that mean something became bigger than sentences to us.
You go up the stairs, around the corner, and into me.
The release Heresy, it was released as a double 10-inch EP. So you have your studio recordings from those days in Windmill Lane overnight, and then there are live recordings. Those are from the Rex Club in Paris. What are your recollections of making the live recordings?
Well, I remember we played the Rex for 2 nights. France really embraced the Virgin Prunes very early. Outside of Amsterdam, Holland, France was a huge early lover of and supporter of Virgin Prunes. But that gig, it was like one of our first shows in France. And it was at that show that the guy from the record company saw us. I think he wanted a longer album. We delivered what is the 10-inch, so there's about 25 minutes worth of music. And he says, I thought I was going to get 60 minutes. And we wisely recorded most of our gigs. So we suggested the live album and he went with it. So it wasn't planned, we just went that way and released them as 2 10-inches.
Basically, that established us in Paris, that gig, because basically we blew everyone away, and there was a lot of media people at the thing. So, like, we got TV appearances out of that, and like, we were more famous than U2 in Paris for a period, just on the back of that one show. I think the thing about the Prunes was it was really kind of a second childhood. There weren't any boundaries really with the way we did things. If you felt like doing something, you just do it.
No one cares about money. No one cares about money. No one cares about
In the context of it being a limited release of 10,000 copies, was it a success in terms of fan interest in the recording at the time?
It was originally 10,000 copies, but we found that the guy started printing more and more because the band became quite popular. If I Die, I Die, you could get in a normal record store. You had to search out or write away, or, you know, there was a post box. It wasn't an easy attainable thing. So, yeah, we never thought about it. We never made a penny out of it because the guy disappeared.
I'm struck by something as you're talking about that, Gavin, that, and this is meant as a kind of a pretentious question or comment, but I think it's really interesting that the Irish artists in literature who really matter and who made it big and, you know, critically received left Ireland. And think about Beckett, James Joyce, they left Dublin, and their touchstones were, I mean, Ireland is part of that, but their touchstones are continental European. They're much more, the influences are much more global. Is it fair to say that the Virgin Prunes are in that ilk?
I think so, absolutely. I mean, most of us remained living in Ireland, but from 1981 to 85, we lived nowhere. We basically were bohemians touring, but the Virgin Prunes never really kicked off in Ireland. Even as a solo artist, I'm far more respected and I can fill more seats in Europe than I can in my own hometown or country. So I actually think we emigrated emotionally and mentally, not physically. But I don't think Ireland ever really embraced the Virgin Prunes, ever.
I think they were probably afraid of you.
Probably.